Hi, Dave Roscoe here. It is Friday, April 18th, 2025, and I've got some pretty big news to share with you today. Apparently, Dr. Nicholas Kokkalis will be speaking at the Consensus 2025 conference in Toronto. That's a big deal, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. There's also news from the Pi Core team on their blog site, and it talks about migrations and their tokenomics. We'll be going into that as well. But first, the daily metrics. The circulating supply is currently at 6.9 billion, with 9 million Pi migrated in the last 24 hours. There is currently 53 million Pi in the Pi migration wallet. You'll notice that number is much higher than it has been, and apparently they've funded the migration wallet with more Pi. That's good. More migrations. We like that. The migrated unlocked rewards is at 1.76 billion Pi, which is up 5.8 million from the previous 24 hours, meaning that there's 5.8 million more Pi available to be traded on the open markets. Looking at the price action, the Pi coin is currently trading at 61 cents, which is down 1.2% over the last 24 hours, but not bad. It looks like we're in a nice little accumulation pattern here. Accumulation can go either way, especially considering the volume, which is currently at $96.78 million. And that is down 36.48% from the last 24 hours. So when you see volume this low, you have to be a little concerned that they could start playing games with the price. And we don't know how that's going to shake out. But this is the lowest I've seen the 24-hour volume, maybe since I started this. I couldn't really tell you, but it's low. So just be careful out there. This user says, "Hi, Dave. I'm sure you are aware, but good news that Nicholas Kokkalis is promoting Pi at the upcoming Consensus 25 in Toronto in May, I think. That's correct. May 14th through the 16th, I believe. Finally getting out there must be a positive sign." And I agree with you. This is a very positive sign. Let's take a look at the Consensus 2025 webpage. This is the list of speakers that will be participating in this conference. And there on the right, we see Dr. Nicholas Kokkalis, founder and head of technology for the Pi network. If you scroll through the list here, we see quite a few big names here. We've got CEOs, CTOs, crypto founders, and Mr. Eric Trump, son of the current president, Donald Trump. Robert Hines, executive director of the President's Council of Advisors for Digital Assets. Getting Pi Network in front of these people, it's a positive sign. Kevin O'Leary, everybody should know who he is. Sergey Nazarov, co-founder of Chainlink. Paul Grewal, chief legal officer of Coinbase. This is a veritable who's who in the crypto industry, and representatives of the federal government. Not only is Dr. Nicholas Kokkalis speaking at this event, but the Pi Network is one of the sponsors of this year's event, as you can see right here. This is big. I think this is very big. If you don't know about Consensus, it is hosted by CoinDesk, and it's one of the most influential and longest running conferences for blockchain and the digital assets industry. A lot of good things usually come out of this. Ethereum got a big boost after participating in this conference. We'll have to keep an eye out, but this is very good news. Thanks for the comment. And in other news, we have an update from the Pi Core team, and it has to do with mainnet migrations and their tokenomics. And I'm going to read through this for you here. Hey Pioneers, this blog will outline a mainnet migration roadmap based on the network's priorities and clarify Pi's tokenomics and supply mechanisms. Mainnet migration roadmap by priorities. In discussing Pi mainnet migration, keep the following facts in mind. 1. The migration needs to occur for a network of tens of millions based on complex mining data over the last 6 years to ensure accuracy, security, and fairness for honest pioneers by excluding cheating. It is not just a simple airdrop to tens of thousands of wallets without much consideration of additional data, like in many other crypto projects. 2. The network has already migrated over 12 million people, which on its own is already an achievement of scalability in the industry, especially given the natively built KYC and migration processes with no fiat cost for users. 3. When the migration condition for going to open mainnet was set to be 10 million, striking a balance between the network's need to transition to open network in a timely manner and inclusion of millions of pioneers in the mainnet, it was understood and expected that there would be people who need to migrate after open network launch. Here's a roadmap of mainnet migration work based on the network's priorities. 1. Completing initial migrations for pioneers in the queue. Currently, the network is completing the first migrations for the queue of pioneers, including verified base mining rewards, verified security circle rewards, lockup rewards, utility apps usage rewards, and confirmed node rewards. Now, this is very important. We'll discuss this in a little bit. Number 2, second migrations, including referral bonuses. After the first migrations in the current queue are completed, second migrations will become the focus. Second migrations will also include referral mining bonuses attributable to referral team members who passed KYC. For all of you who are wondering when your unverified Pi is going to be moved over, this is the statement. Now, it's important to point out here, there's a separation between your referral bonus contributions and your other bonuses, such as your security circle, lockup rewards, utility apps, and all that. That goes in your unverified balance. So it's part of that as well. The only thing that's in your transferable is the base mining rate. So when you see migrations happen, it's often higher than what that transferable balance indicates. And that's because there are calculations that happen right before migration, which pull in the unverified Pi that's part of these bonuses and then is migrated. So that's why you'll see larger migrations than your transferable balance would suggest, and it comes out of your unverified balance. But it does not include referral bonuses. That's going to be part of the second wave of migrations. Now, it's important to also point out here is that I've been mistaken with regards to how this queue works. I did not think that they would actually separate first and second migrations, but this makes it clear that they do, and it also makes it clear why, because they're including different bonuses being released as part of the second migration. So now it makes total sense to me, and I will update the FAQ to reflect that. And number 3, ongoing periodic migrations. Finally, Pi Network will shift into regular periodic migrations, for example, monthly, quarterly, etc., to be determined, which will include all bonuses and rewards. Whereas they're separating the first and second migration and releasing different bonuses in each of those phases, future migrations will happen in bulk at a fixed interval and include all applicable bonuses. That's good news. It's good to know. But I will make a little caveat here. I know that every day I talk about how much Pi is migrated, but that's just the coin. It does not represent the number of user accounts, and that information is available somewhere. I just don't go looking for it. Even millions of Pi being migrated represents a relatively small number of accounts. To get through roughly 60 million active users, it's going to take a while to get through that first migration and then again through the second migration. It's going to be a while. I just want to prepare you for that. Note that differences in the UI between the transferable balance and the actual migrated balance are as intended. The UI uses simplified calculation estimates in order to save computation time and resources. The balance that is actually migrated to a user's mainnet wallet depends on extensive, precise computations that could take much longer time per user, going through all of their past mining sessions and associated bonuses for the past few years. So, the transferable balance displayed in the UI is a pessimistic estimate of the actual pi amount included in the first migration. This is what I was talking about earlier. The actual first migration for everyone already contains their verified base mining rewards, security circle rewards, lockup rewards, utility app usage rewards, and confirmed node rewards for some, basically only excluding the referral mining bonuses. Getting to the pi tokenomics and supply. In light of the discussion about migration, it's important to remind pioneers of and educate the general public about the pi tokenomics and mining mechanism, which were defined in longer form in the white paper in 2021. On pi's supply and allocation. The maximum supply of pi is 100 billion tokens. The maximum supply is comprised of the following: 65 billion tokens, or 65%, are allocated for all community mining rewards. 10 billion, or 10%, are allocated for foundation reserves. 5 billion, or 5%, are allocated for liquidity purposes, and 20 billion, or 20%, are allocated for the core team. Each allocation mentioned above tracks the community migrated mining rewards issuance pace, so the proportions of each allocation in the total supply remains the same at any given time. We talked about like the vesting period for how the core team gets access to that 20%. This is what they're talking about. As more pi enters the market, a proportion of the circulating supply becomes available to the pi core team, but not all of it. It's very controlled. The effective total supply of pi. The total pi supply at the current time proportions the allocations the same as the maximum supply. Since every allocation tracks the migrated mining rewards of the community, the effective total supply can be calculated by dividing the current migrated mining rewards of pi on the mainnet blockchain by 65%. And if you've ever looked at the Pi Blockchain Explorer, you'll see this calculation. That's what this means. The other allocations within the effective total supply can then be calculated based on the same proportions as the maximum supply. For example, at most, 10% of the effective total supply is available in the foundation reserve, because that's the allocation that I just mentioned above. 5% of the effective total supply is available for liquidity purposes, and 20% of the effective total supply is available for the Pi core team. This remains true despite the fact that all tokens were minted at the genesis as technically required by the blockchain protocol. So what that means is that 100 billion Pi is already created, but it cannot be used outside of this stated vesting rate. The allocation structure itself ensures the impartial role of any processes that affect the migration speed, because all other allocation buckets track the pace of migrated mining rewards. It was intentionally designed to align the interests of all parties in the network to get as many pioneers and as many Pi onto the mainnet as possible. So, the network is committed to migrating pioneers and their Pi as soon as possible. I know a lot of you disagree with that, but as soon as possible can have a wide range of meanings, because we don't know what's possible. The Pi mining mechanism is designed to expand its decentralization, utilities, stability, and longevity, in addition to growth, inclusion, and security. Pi mining rewards are distributed on an issuance formula that follows a declining exponential decay model defined in the Pi white paper. Pioneers can increase the amount of mining rewards they receive based on their individual contributions to the network, like security circles, using utility-based Pi apps, running nodes, etc. For each month, the amount of Pi to be distributed as mobile balance is capped and determined by the model, regardless of how many people or how many types of mining rewards there are during the month. That's an important statement. What that means is they determine how many Pi can possibly be mined in a month, and then they factor in all of the bonuses and the number of people actively mining, and they use that to determine the base mining rate. The capping is achieved by the design of a system-wide base mining rate, and each type of mining rewards to each individual are just a multiplier of this base mining rate. As the monthly supplies always diminish, the base mining rate generally decreases over time. I've never seen it go up, so it's a fair statement, I guess. Conclusion. The network is dedicated to completing mainnet migration for all real, verified, and honest pioneers as soon as possible, while ensuring accuracy, security, and integrity of the network. Pi's tokenomics are designed to align long-term network growth with real contributions from the community, ensuring that the issuance model remains fair, progress-driven, and grounded in actual participation. So if you're still with me after reading all of that, I thank you. This was important, and this was a long time overdue. It cleared up a couple of things for me, like I said, I have been mistaken with respect to the migrations, and I will update that and fix that. It hasn't really caused any harm because obviously they're still going through the first wave of migrations. Otherwise, we'd be seeing our referral bonuses. So that's all I have for today. It's a big day. I hope that you agree that all of this news is very positive. Hopefully the market will respond in a positive way. But if not, don't panic. Stay the course. And remember, the success of the Pi network begins with you. Pi to the moon. Peace.